Uh, Hi. So, yeah. Uh, Accompaniment. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of nonsense with guitar players. A lot of times where we play like 5 million notes, in one bar or something like that. Um, and I kind of realized listening to like certain musicians and certain genres and stuff that there was a great difference between guitar players that were kind of more firebrand, incendiary or whatever. These type of guys, your Hendrixes and stuff like this. There's a big difference between that and sort of accompaniment. Uh, I don't really know how to demonstrate that without making a fool out of myself. So I'll just plow on here and kind of accept that I'm somewhat foolish, devilishly handsome, etc., etc. So I mean, for me, I just jumped to Van Morrison because these are the only songs that I know. Okay, don't tell anybody. If you look at a song like "Crazy Love," say, right, which is a kind of the main chord sequence in it is one that he comes back to quite a bit. I think he uses it for Tupelo Honey, the title track. And I think the band used it in the way, and it's all over the place. I mean, it's everywhere. It's reasonably simple, but it's basically that. I can hear her heartbeat from 1,000 miles. Now, perhaps like 10 years ago, I'd have been going, playing all over the top of the singer. You know what I mean? But the main thing was that I got to show everybody how great a guitar player I thought I was. And what I noticed, some more mature players, I suppose, what they were doing is they would go like, and the heaven opened every time she smiled. Do you know what it was? It was Robbie Robertson in The Last Waltz. So here we go. Or that guy John Platania that played with Van a lot. You're thinking, why aren't you doing loads of repeating licks and being the guy, being the gunslinger guy? It's like, yeah, it can cause you to miscalculate, a player's actual true worth or true ability or something like that. So that's something that I think is very important. Is knowing how to interact with the vocalist, say, or whoever's playing the lead line. If you have a guy that's leaving little gaps and stuff, and there's something you can do in between there to support what he's doing. And it's a funny little thing. I mean, it's just like soloing. There'll be times when, or singing, there'll be times when it's very perfunctory and all of that, and there'll be times when it gets just lit up, and it's like, wow, who designed that piece of music, Yeah, so Robbie Robertson was a big one, and he was doing these little moves, those wee ones, and he might slip a finger off and go, something like that. Yeah, he was in the BB King box, and he had a certain sting and a certain feel, and he was wearing that scarf. It was the advent of the rock and roll scarf. It didn't really take off quite in the way that I would have hoped for, but there are some still out there keeping it alive. So, I wish I could really demonstrate it, but if I go like this, right, I say like a, and when I come to her, that's where I belong. you know, and that's landing on the one of the next bar or whatever, you know. I'm sorry I don't have all of the like timing things and the treble clef and all of that. You have to sort of bear with me a little bit, you know. And I'm running to her like a river song. So it's a real beautiful effect that you can create, and it's about taste and timing, patience, you know, more things like that. And I think it's one idea that can sort of lead you into a whole range of musical ideas that are more to do in how you think about what to play and what not to play, how to support your cohorts and all of that. You know, a whole new level of maturity in one's musicianship where technique doesn't have quite as much to do with it. You know, these are things that, yeah, you can practice for, and you want to get experience sort of in the line of fire, I would say, whether that's performative practice or actual playing on stage, you know. But yeah, for me, for years, that's where I've always felt it's at, you know. Um, I did spend a few years being the pretty young guy with the haircut and the shirt on, and the, you know, the blues ability and the fantastic flashy guitar playing and all of that sort of stuff. I'd been that guy in the past, you know, and I mourned the death of that version of myself, but I was very happy then to receive any sort of news of, you know, these more mature ideas that you can put into things. A lot of it has to do working along with people, working with musicians that you like as people and that you trust, stuff like that. I think it's very important. But who am I? I'm just some guy, you know. Anyway, you better go and practice and be good. Good night.